Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Straight Guy Queer Eye. I'm your host, Paul Yen. This is episode 4. Let's get into it. As always, we have an ethics statement that I want to make clear. Being straight gives me privileges that the queer community does not get. I will never fully understand the trauma, the drama, and all the other homophobic bullshit that queer people deal with on a day-to-day basis. I'm not an expert in queer culture. I'm also not a therapist, a psychiatrist, or a psychologist. As host of the Straight Guy Queer Eye podcast, I'm here to introduce people to shows that I love and enjoy. But most importantly, I'm here to listen and to learn about the queer community, and I hope to pass that knowledge on to like-minded people who want to make some sort of difference in the queer community and in their own community. A quick recap of episode 4. Only 6 queens remain: Bibi, Zahara, Angina, Chanel, Nina Flowers, Rebecca Glasscock, and Jade. So they come into the workroom, and all the mirrors are covered up for the mini challenge, which we will get into. RuPaul comes in and asks the queens who've each won if they had any constructive criticisms for the queens who haven't won. So Angina tells Chanel that if you're getting constructive criticism but you're already thinking of what your reply is going to be, then you're not really listening. I am definitely guilty of doing that. I'm constantly reminding myself not to do that. So I understand for Chanel, it's not an easy thing to do if it's like a habit that you've built up. It's a bad habit, but you've just got to keep working on it. Bibi Zahara tells Rebecca Glasscock that she's not seeing the Rebecca she thinks is really there. And in the episode, you learn from a lot of the girls that they think Rebecca Glasscock is fake. So they edit a lot of stuff out, so we don't know what's going on as viewers, but that's coming from all the queens, not just one queen. So I think there's something to it. And Nina Flowers tells Jade that she wants Jade to trust herself and trust her own instincts. And these pairings happen to be the pairings for the mini challenge, which is the queens are going to have to do each other's makeup. See what I did there? Drag dictionary. Kai is the term for when 2 queens have sex with each other. So no, the queens won't be kai-kaiing. Rebecca Glasscock and Bibi Zahara are teamed up, like I said earlier, Chanel and Angina, Jade and Nina. So they each have 30 minutes to work on each other's makeup, then they swap, and then the queens can't see themselves until the challenge is over, and then RuPaul will critique and pick the winner based on the work they did on their partner. I've only ever had makeup put on me once, and I can barely wash my own face, y'all. So I couldn't imagine putting on makeup or lashes or anything on anybody else's face. You wouldn't want to see it. It wouldn't be pretty. And I'm also really glad that I don't wear contacts because I don't know if I'd be able to put contacts into my eyeballs. I probably wouldn't be able to do it. So I'm glad I don't have to do it. So when the queens all see what their partner did to their faces, they all get a kick out of it. And we'll get into that later when I talk about what stands out to me. But the winner of the mini challenge this week is Jade for her job on Nina. Although I do think that Chanel should have won for her job on Angina. But that's why the show is called RuPaul's Drag Race and not Paul's Drag Race. And so because Jade is the winner, she gets 5 extra minutes for the Maxi Challenge. We learned that RuPaul was the first face of MAC Cosmetics' Viva Glam Campaign, which donated 100% of their sales to help people living with HIV/AIDS. Some notable names who've also been a part of the Viva Glam campaign were Pamela Anderson, Linda Evangelista, and Christina Aguilera. And now for RuPaul's Drag Race, the remaining queens will be challenged in a screen test to tell the world why they are a MAC Viva Glam woman. So they get to create their own concept and write their own dialogue. Jade has 15 minutes, and the rest of the queens have 10 minutes to perform in their own screen test using the pit crew and props to use as they please. Bibi is just on another level compared to most of the girls. She's from Cameroon in Africa where HIV/AIDS hits very hard, so she wanted to wear an outfit that women in her native country wear to celebrate. She looks so regal, y'all. My description is definitely not going to cut it. All I can think for my guys out there is Angela Bassett's costumes from Black Panther. It's blue and gold. She's wearing this gold headpiece. It is beautiful. And then in her performance for me, she took her performance very seriously, of course, because it affects her country. So she took it very personal, and she delivered a very serious and heartwarming performance for her Viva Glam campaign screen test. Angina, when she comes into the studio space, she says this thing that eventually all the girls in the show, not all, but a lot of the girls end up adopting, that she says, "Hi." And that was the premiere of that annoyingly cute greeting that we hear from other queens. I actually thought that Alaska from season 5 created that, but I was wrong. So Ongina wanted to focus on celebrating life, which was the opposite of everybody else. Her tagline sums up her approach: educate, donate, and celebrate. The not-so-standouts were Chanel, who came out looking like the talk show host Sally Jessy Raphael, which again ages me, and she completely misunderstood the challenge again. She went through the history of MAC Cosmetics, I think, and just got it looked like an industrial internal corporate training video. And then RuPaul cut her off right at her 10 minutes, so she couldn't really do anything else, so they had to edit whatever it is that she gave them. She knew she failed and was sure that she was going to be sent home. And I'd have to agree. Rebecca Glasscock's performance was also at the bottom for me, even though her approach was more personal, because her best friend is living with HIV/AIDS. So understandably, it hit her really hard, and she stormed out and just didn't finish the challenge. And she also dissed Rue on the way out. Rue was trying to convince her to come back, but she just completely ignored her and just stormed out. And you don't do that to Rue. I also do want to mention that Bibi Zahara thought that it might be an act and maybe she was trying to gain sympathy from the judges. I'm not there. I don't know her personally, obviously. So I just take it at face value. She says that, her friend has it and it affected her, and I get it. But still, at the end of the day, you should be able to finish the challenge. That's what you're there for. So if you couldn't tell, my tops for the Maxi Challenge were Ongina and Bibi. On the runway, the category is... There was no category this week for whatever reason. Guest judges were MAC Cosmetics VP of Makeup Artistry, Gordon Espinay. Extra special guest judge was supermodel, actress, and Angelina Jolie's former girlfriend, Jenny Shimizu. My favorite runway looks were Bibi Zahara, of course. She slayed that shit. Yes, that's exactly the same thing I said last week, because that's the exact same thing she did this week. She came out in a white and black bodysuit with the left side partially cut out, exposing her shiny diamond bra. She wore a black wide-brimmed hat, and when she took it off, she revealed a headpiece full of diamonds. It was fucking stunning. The judges couldn't keep their mouths closed when Bibi walked out. I don't even think I was able to keep my mouth closed when she walked out, because this outfit outdid last week's outfit. Jenny Shimizu said she was speechless. And then they thought the world of her Viva Glam Campaign screen test. They said it was regal, and she was very poised, and it was just well put together and touching. A close second favorite for the week was Ongina's look, because it was also very chic. She had on this white crop top jacket over a black ballerina type dress. Imagine a big loofah, but as a dress. And she wore this tiny hat that's tilted on her shaved head. It just looked really cute, and she looked really pretty. Jenny Shimizu said that she saw Naomi Campbell walking down the runway, a savage beast. And then the pun of the week also came from Jenny Shimizu. When Ongina walked out, she said, "I love the name Ongina. I'm often Ongina too." Bravo, Jenny Shimizu. Gordon Espinay and the rest of the judges loved her Viva Glam screen test. They loved the positivity. They loved her approach that even though you're stricken with something as serious and deadly as HIV/AIDS, that you have to stay positive and you have to live your life one day at a time and just make the most of it. Chanel, y'all, she came out in a latex bikini bathing suit thing with diamond strands all over her body, and she was juggling down the runway. Juggling those, I don't even know what they're called. They look like upside down bowling pins. She then turns at the end of the runway to reveal that she was ass naked, literally ass naked, except for a diamond G-string and some diamond strands kind of hanging off her body. I thought she looked amazing. Santino didn't like her look at all. He didn't like her juggling even more. And that's why I'm not a judge on RuPaul's Drag Race. Of course, she got red for her Viva Glam campaign. Too much talking. She needs to listen more. And that goes, again, for all of us, right? Listen more. That's the whole point of this podcast, is to listen to the struggles of the queer community. I kid you not, in my notes, I wrote down Sally Jessy Raphael. And then, of course, Santino compares her look to Sally Jessy Raphael. And that's why I could be a judge on RuPaul's Drag Race. Call me. My least favorite looks for the week were Rebecca Glasscock, who is one of my favorites in terms of her drag look. All season, she's been told that she's beautiful, that she's really pretty, but that there's not much else there. And because of her poor performance on the Viva Glam campaign, she thought she'd finally implement their notes. So she painted a star on her eyes, think the band Kiss, and she wore a black and white halter top dress that looked like it came off the rack. Ru saw a little bit of improvement in her movement on the runway, but Santino straight up told her that he doesn't love the outfit and that her makeup made her look like a raccoon. And you can hear all the judges gasp, you heard all the queens in the back gasp, and RuPaul even audibly says, "Oh my goodness." It was brutal. And there's not much to say about her Viva Glam performance. As tough as it was, if it was real, they expected her to be a professional and to stay and finish the job. And I agree. As an actor, regardless of how tough things might be on set, you are paid to be a professional, so you have to be there. Jade walked the runway in an all-black outfit and was going for a dominatrix vibe. I put that in quotes because it didn't really read dominatrix to me. It looked sort of like a bad rendition of The Matrix, or like goth in a PG teeny bopper movie, maybe. The judges weren't too kind either. They wanted her to go further, to be sexier, to be more sexual. Santino is harsh, man. He told her that he sees a beautiful woman who's not living up to her full potential, who lacks star quality overall, including in this challenge. And as much as I love Nina Flowers, I had to throw in here too, just to be fair. The best thing she had going were her feathered gauntlets. The judges read the hell out of her outfit. The only thing they liked were her gauntlets and everything from the neck up. Aside from that, they really read her and said that her everything from the neck down just looked like a man. Spoiler alert! If you have not watched the episode and don't want to know who wins and who goes home, this is where you should stop and go watch the episode. The queens who were safe or still in the race were Ongina, Nina Flowers, and Chanel. Chanel looked like she was genuinely shocked. Shocked. I was shocked. I thought she was going to go home. The winner for the second week in a row and granted immunity again, even though she didn't need it from last week, was Bibi Zahara. She's clearly the front runner at this point. She has 2 wins under her belt now. And then they had a surprise announcement that Ongina won the MAC Cosmetics Viva Glam Campaign. And I'm not going to lie, when Bibi won, I thought that she won both. I was upset because I thought she deserved to win the runway, but I did think that Ongina really deserved to win the challenge. So this was a nice little surprise. But wait, we're not done. When Ru announced that Ongina won the MAC Viva Glam Campaign, Ongina starts to break down crying. And you think maybe they're tears of joy. But then she squats down and loses it and reveals something to the world that not many knew, that she'd been living with HIV/AIDS for the last 2 years. Even her parents didn't know. Everyone was in shock. The judges were shocked. I remember the moment it came back, and it was still a shock. Rebecca Glasscock and Jade were standing right next to Ongina, and their humanity came through. They hugged her and they helped her up. It was just really touching. But not touching enough, because Rebecca Glasscock and Jade were the bottoms of the week. They lip-synced, they lip-synced, whatever. It was a weird lip-sync battle. They usually put the title of the song and the artist, on the screen, or RuPaul will say, this is what you're going to lip-sync to. They didn't this time. The song just came on after RuPaul told the girls to lip-sync for their lives. So I had to ask Siri for the artist and title of the song, which was Would I Lie to You by the Eurythmics. Jade is a dancer, and she did the damn thing. I want to say she gets credit for doing the first jump split in a lip sync battle. That's when they do a huge jump into a split. Remember, this is a thin-ass runway, too. They didn't have the budget, so the runway looked tiny. And Rebecca was just doing the bare minimum. And I won't beat around the bush on this one. RuPaul decided. Shantae, Rebecca Glasscock stays, and Jade sachets away. I was shocked. There's a lot of shocks going on in this episode. I've watched this before and I was shocked. I think Rebecca Glasscock is gorgeous and I wanted her to stay, but her lip sync performance wasn't as good as Jade's. She walked out on her Viva Glam campaign and her runway outfit was basic as fuck. Jade, for all her faults, she at least tried. And she says it herself. It's bullshit. She didn't say it to RuPaul, though. Hell no. She didn't want to, end her drag career there. But she says that she would have been happy to lose to any of the other queens, but to lose to Rebecca was bullshit. And I agree. I don't always disagree with Ru's choices, but on this one, it was the wrong call. But once again, that's why it's RuPaul's Drag Race and not Paul's Drag Race. These are the things that stood out to me in episode 4 of RuPaul's Drag Race. The makeup challenge reminded me of what Ru said a couple of episodes back about those who walk out of the house with lipstick on their lips are heroes. This is just a continuation of that. These are things men tend to take for granted. It takes time to put on makeup. It takes a specific skill. Not only that, but this shit costs a lot of money. Your skin takes a toll. All this effort to meet these impossible standards of beauty. There's nothing wrong with it if it's something people want to do, but we've got to learn to appreciate it. It seems so simple, and it seems like we forget that, and we often just expect it, and that's where we fall short. And then I also realized how personal makeup is to each individual, too. Different people wear makeup for different reasons. So when these queens had to let someone else do their makeup for them, it's like a makeup trust fall. It's such a personal act for each person. And I know I'm rambling and you're thinking, dude, it's just makeup. And maybe I am rambling, but it certainly makes me appreciate the artistry and the time that women and drag queens put into it. It's a work of art, or it can be. And of course, the other thing that stood out to me this week was when Angina came out with the news that she's been living with HIV/AIDS. Now, I don't know much about it except that regardless of your sexual orientation, you can get it. But the queer community was scapegoated, and because of the homophobia during that time and a lack of knowledge of what the disease was, the government chose not to take it as seriously as it should have been from the start. So many people died. Sound familiar? And there was hysteria that came about to demonize the queer community. It's a wonder why Angina was afraid to come out about it to her parents. And that was over 20, almost 30 years after HIV/AIDS had first been discovered. So you just got to think about how brave you have to be to reveal this to your parents and to the rest of the world. You'll hear me use the word brave and courageous a lot because this is often a word reserved for straight people, straight white male in particular. But that's inaccurate. History has shown that heroism, courage, and strength comes in many forms. And yes, also in the queer community. So there's not much else to say here except queer people have survived and continue to survive and fight every day. No amount of modern day book burning and bigoted laws are going to silence or erase the queer community. And if we each do our part, no matter how big or small, we can make a difference. Thank you as usual for taking the time out of your day and spending it with me, and I'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. If you're enjoying Straight Guy Queer Eye, please get the word out and share it with everyone you know. Follow Straight Guy Queer Eye on Instagram and Twitter at SGQE Podcast. You can follow me on my personal Instagram at HelloPaulYen. Send comments, suggestions, and feedback to sgqepodcast@gmail.com. And remember, be human, be kind.